Sarah Solis. I'm a realtor with Spears & Co. here in Rockport, and today I'm going to demonstrate of how to make a mask. I'm going to go ahead and get started. The things you're going to need to make a mask is some very light sewing skills. You will need a sewing machine, or you can do this by hand. It will take longer. And then you'll need about a half a yard of fabric at the very most, and that would probably make you about 3 to 4 masks. I'm going to go ahead and place the pattern in the comments below once I'm finished, so you can have that, you can print it out and then use it to cut. So the pattern is going to show one piece of your stencil, your pattern, and you're going to cut that 4 times. And make sure that when you're cutting it, that if you have a fabric with a pattern, that you cut a left and a right side, so that way it reveals your pretty pattern on the outside. So for mine, so this is my music fabric. So see how one side of it is blocked out. This is my pretty side. So I made sure to cut a left side and a right side. So you just take it and you flip your pattern. And then for the back of my mask, I'm just using a solid black. So I didn't have to worry about cutting. So I was able to cut 2 pieces at one time. So this is going to be my back, and this is going to be my front. So the masks that I've started making are a little bit more intricate, but they're still very simple. So on your back part, okay, so on your back part, before you even sew these together, you can take one of the edges and you're going to fold it over, and it's about 3/4 of an inch fold, and then you're going to run a stitch straight down, and then you're going to do that on the other side. And you'll see why later. So this would be your back side. So before you sew them together, you're going to flip it over and run stitches down both sides. Okay? Once you do that, then you're going to sew them together. Make sure you put pretty sides together. And you're going to run a stitch from the top all the way down the arch. And then on your front, you're going to run a stitch from the top all the way down the arch. Okay, so now you have your front. Okay, so you have your front, and then you have your back. All right, so from this point on, it's pretty simple. So you put your 2 pretty sides together. So seam out, put your 2 pretty sides together, and you're gonna just align the top with the top. I keep saying it, pretty sides together. If you don't, you'll end up having the seam show. You're gonna align those. And for those who are kind of starting out or not into it too much, I sew all the time, so I don't tend to use pins unless I need to, but you can pin this just to make sure it holds. But you're gonna put those 2 together, and then you're gonna put this in your machine, and you're going to line it up. I usually, right now I'm using about a 1/4 inch away from the wall. So, and I don't know all the technical terms. I don't care, because like I don't typically teach a class of how to sew, but I'm not opposed to it. But I just know that I'm leaving a 1/4 inch seam. There we go, I said it. So I'm just making sure these line up, putting a 1/4 inch seam. Once I start going over the nose, I do kind of curve my needle a little around, just to make sure that area of the nose, the bridge, isn't pointy. I kind of circle the stitch. So again, I'm using a 1/4 inch seam, and I run it all the way to the edge, and I'll show you what I mean. Okay, so I've run it. So your front fabric runs past your other side. So you have like an inch of fabric out, then I run it up. Like I said, I curve. See, I curve this piece here, and then I continue the stitch all the way to the end of the white fabric. Okay, now I'm going to do the bottom. Again, I just make sure that these 2 seams right here line up That way your mask is all in line, especially when we're going to turn it inside out in a second. Again, I'm doing a 1/4 inch seam through. And you don't have to, if you don't sew that often, you have a machine, you can go slow. I mean, how many masks are we really having to make for a family? I've probably made 30, but that's just because I'm trying to bulk them up for some people that I know that don't know how to sew, and you don't even have a machine, and some people don't have time to do this. But what I've done is I just flip it. It's like a sock. So you have openings on both sides of your mask. So I just flip it around, literally like flip a sock inside out. It's starting to kind of look like a mask. And you're gonna press that nose piece, kind of get your finger up in there, and kind of, you'll see it, you'll feel it, how it creates that kind of thing for your bridge. And then you're gonna just kind of tuck it out and push all the seams out. Now at this point, you can iron it if you want, just iron your seams down. If you are deciding to do this in bulk, you may not have time to do that. But just kind of push all your seams out. So now you start seeing the mask here. What I like to do is I like to run a stitch, just a really quick, maybe 2-inch stitch right around the nose piece. And for demonstration, I'm not doing a lot of back stitching. For those of you who don't sew very often, or maybe never sew, when you're using a machine, you tend to start off with 1 or 2 back stitches and then end with that, just to make your stitch a little stronger. So just keep that in mind. You can always do a little bit. So now you can see I've got the nose stitch in, and then basically we're to the final ends of your mask making already. We take this white piece, this 1 inch that's hanging out over, and you're gonna fold it. You can iron it again, or you can pin it, but you're just folding it back. And then make sure you don't run over your black part of it, but you're just gonna run your stitch down that. And what you're doing is you're making the alley. You're making the alley for your elastic or ribbon or whatever you choose to do there. Okay, I've done that. So now, so what I've done, just so you understand, is remember what I said, when you sew this back, you'll see why. What we've done is we've made this a mask with a pocket. So this is where you're gonna run your elastic through here. You're gonna do that on both sides. You'll run your elastic through there, but you've created a pocket. And Amy Garcia called me the other night, one of the agents from our office, and mentioned that she had heard that we can use coffee filters, which might be a really good idea. If you're trying to filter your mask, you can put a coffee filter in here, and obviously they're cheap, available, and then you can take it out. And so that's one of the reasons. You can use Merv, you can use coffee filter. There's all kinds of things. Somebody asked me about charcoal, filtered charcoal. Not sure about the availability of that, but that's your mask. So you'll run your elastic through here. I'm gonna go ahead and do the other side. Finish up this mask. And with everybody, with what they're doing, I saw somebody at the store the other day with a shirt wrapped around their head. If you can get the ability to sew or fashion one of these, material can't be an issue. I mean, you can find something in your closet you can take apart. I think anything is probably better than nothing. So there we go. Oops, it's upside down. So there's your mask. And then you can use ribbon. So I'm gonna put that one down just because I'm not gonna do it right now. So you can use ribbon to go through. And then here's some with elastic, little kid ones. So if you do have elastic on hand, which it's like, it's worth its weight in gold. That's not very heavy. Okay, it's worth like 10 times its weight in gold. You'll put it through, and then if you're doing it for yourself, you can measure, but then you just whip a stitch in there, hold the elastic. I like the ribbon. I think it's cool. It's still very available. And then you can size it and you have a lot more options with the ribbon. So that's my tutorial. I hope it helps some people if they're out there trying to make masks. Go for it. Get your creative juices going. All right, thanks everybody. Have a great one. Be safe.